Want access to the smartest people on the planet in digital, business, technology, and personal development? You've come to the right place. You're listening to Ryan Talks Digital, hosted by Ryan Chapman, guaranteed to make you smarter.
Did you hear that message? Recording in progress? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ryan Talks Digital, your host. Today, I've got a very special guest, Gabor Devenyi. Gabor is actually a work colleague of mine, but also a friend that I've known for over a year now. We've worked on some great digital delivery in terms of mobile banking apps. Gabor has a very interesting background that I'm really excited to be able to share with you today and talk about. So Gabor was originally a long, long time ago, a project manager. I've been checking out his LinkedIn, a management consultant, ended up in testing, and then found himself in Agile delivery. And that's how I knew Gabor, is through his Agile delivery work as a Scrum Master, and now these days an Agile delivery coach. Gabor, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Ryan. It's great to be here on Ryan Talks Digital. Very excited to be here. And yes, I have, I'm old, maybe not that old, but I have a pretty mixed background career-wise. Yeah. So very excited to be here and share, what my story and answer your questions.
Yeah, sounds good. And interestingly enough, Gabor is also now working in his own sort of private capacity in the crypto space as well. So he's got a lot of interesting stories to share, which we talk about quite a lot, which we'll talk about today as well. So thanks, Gabor, for joining us today. So tell us about you. Tell us about your story. You originally came from Hungary. You came to Australia not that long ago, back when you're about 16 years old, and now you're 26 years old, and you're kicking goals as an Agile delivery lead. Tell us all about that story.
You're absolutely right, especially with the age. Indeed, that's why I have the accent, and that's why the strange name Gabor, which is actually Gabriel in English. I'm not sure if I told you that, but yeah, it's the Hungarian version of Gabriel. So I've been here for 15 years, but my career is even before that. So I grew up in Hungary and started working, after uni. Like, I studied IT after working. I actually had 1 year in uni, which is kind of probably the best workplace, but the most underpaid ever. But it was a lot of fun. And then I was lucky enough to get into a management consulting company, which is was a competitor for the Big Four in Hungary, still exists today. And as a management consultant, I've been lucky enough to participate from Y2K project to testing projects, pretty much anything what a junior management consultant would do. And when I came to Australia 2006, I was a little bit confused because I spent 7.5 years at that company and its subsidiary. And when I came here, I was like, I can do anything, really. I can, I didn't think I'm specialized in anything. I was a consultant. If I had to do, I did testing. If I had to do, I've done project management. If I had to do, I've done business analysis. So, and when I came here, people told me that, well, look, here you gotta be like, without that Australian background, you gotta sell you're specialized somewhere. And because I was mainly involved in Hungary, I was mainly involved in testing projects. So I was testing at major telcos and mobile telco companies. I said, okay, well, look, most of my consulting was in testing. So I got a testing job and then a test management job. And that's where I spent. So it's still close to my heart, because testing is, I'm not good enough to be a developer, but I'm good at breaking things. So, I still have that close to my heart.
Yeah.
And yes, I've done testing up until like 2013-ish. And then at the company where I was, they had an Agile transformation. And before it came in, I actually read about Agile and I was interested in it, but I knew more on the theory level. And when I think ThoughtWorks came in and we had a new CIO at that time at the company I worked for, which was Simplot. I got more involved. First project, I was a tester in the team. Then the next one, I was a Scrum Master, and then I've done a few projects there. And then I realized that if I'm just being at one company, my knowledge, even if I had the theory and I went to meetups but I would have very limited knowledge of what actually Agile looks like in the real world. And fortunately enough, I got a position at MYOB, which in Melbourne is one of the more well-known agile companies. Mm-hmm. So I learned a lot there on what good looks like. Of course, MYOB had its challenges as well, but it was really great for me to see like a little bit more mature organization on how they do things. And when I saw that, like when I later on, I went consulting again in the agile space. And when I saw that, I've seen pretty much a whole spectrum of different maturity companies. And I will stop here for a moment because I was just talking. So I'm not sure if you have anything.
That was great. That was great. Well, obviously, you've had a very good background in terms of just diversity of roles. And I sometimes think that when you work in digital, I think it's really good to have diversity in terms of your background. So as you know, and as the number of people we work with in our day-to-day work, we work with a variety of people. So we've worked with business analysts who've come from an accounting background and they've been exceptional as business analysts working in digital. We've worked with engineers that have not come from a traditional, app development background, but when they step into this world and they actually understand the importance of customer experience and why sort of focusing on customer value is so important. So I think what you've touched on is a really good story there, which is effectively for anyone working in digital, you don't need to be someone that's gone off and done a complete degree in digital. If there are degrees that exist in digital, you can be someone that's come from, a psychology background, for example, that could be working in user experience design. And I think what digital kind of embraces is the mindset of diversity around who we have working in digital and what we do from a day-to-day perspective as well. And even when it comes to product managers, which is kind of my space, you see people that have come from very diverse backgrounds. So for example, me, I studied commerce, accounting at university. I never set out to be someone that was going to work in user experience or digital. But when you have a passion for customers, and I think that's evident in your background as well, when you have a real passion for customers and delivering things that make a difference in their lives, digital is a great place to be.
Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more. Customer is so important to have that customer experience to actually provide real value to the customer. And that's why I loved Agile as well. It's not about having a stand-up or having a retrospective. It's about how can we deliver early and continuously value to the customer.
Yeah, for sure. Now, these days, you're a delivery lead, but also an Agile coach as well. So tell us about the work that you do from a day-to-day perspective.
Yeah. So look, I'm always a little bit confused about job titles and description and what you put on LinkedIn, and maybe because I was a consultant in the past, and I think of myself, what is the thing that I need to do for get the best outcome for the customer? And yes, I don't necessarily like the title Agile Coach. I am an Agile Coach in my view, but quite often people just think, okay, Agile Coach will just talk us about how to do a stand-up or a retrospective. But I like the whole delivery, like how can we deliver value to the customer? And that includes analysis, that includes testing, that includes development, that includes the whole, life cycle. And maybe my goal, or maybe what I'm trying to do right now, is to improve that delivery. So if you say I'm a delivery coach, probably that's the closest to what I'm doing. Right now, what I'm doing is helping delivery leads to have a little bit more knowledge about Agile and Lean practices, so that they can implement with their squads, so deliver that value early, and they reflect on how they do as a team, and they improve as a team, and hopefully they are also happier as a team. So right now, what I'm doing is mostly coaching delivery leads.
Yeah. And for those that aren't too familiar with the delivery lead, what the delivery lead does, do you want to maybe just explain what that sort of looks like?
What does it look like in at organization, or generally?
Generally speaking.
Okay. So they're usually responsible for end-to-end delivery of products. So if you think of every organization has a slightly different interpretation of a role, whether it's product owner or delivery lead. In my view, a delivery lead helps to deliver value end to end from discovering what you do for the customer, through analyzing, through developing, through testing, and to releasing. So to me, it's not just focusing on development and release, but also the kind of the end to end value, pretty much the value stream, and delivering that value to the customer. So that might mean, a facilitating session for discovery, running inception workshops, to managing downstream dependencies, managing releases. So it's pretty much end to end.
Yeah. And, as you were talking about that, I was reflecting on those skills and what you're talking about. And, from my own perspective, someone that's a good delivery lead has that ability to sort of step into different roles and really get it. Kind of like, I guess, everyone that's working in a sort of squad or a scrum environment is the ability to sort of be T-shaped and not necessarily just do one part of it, but have the ability to sort of step in, not necessarily in a detail level, but actually have some context about what needs to happen next. And I think you sort of touched on some good points there around all the sort of the ecosystem of what it is to be a delivery lead. And I don't think there's one size fits all with it. And we've, as you and I know from our own work experience, we've got a diversity of people we work with who are delivery leads. Some have engineering backgrounds, some have sort of Scrum Master backgrounds. So again, it's that sort of diversity of background, but it's more about the focus on actually getting it shipped at the end of the day, I think is the key theme there.
Yeah. In Agile, we say working software is the primary measure of progress. So Absolutely. If you deliver documents, that's not really helpful for the customer.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. So when being in a sort of delivery lead coach that you are, what does good delivery look like for you?
Well, because I'm really big believer of Agile values and principles. To me, when I look at and I'm thinking not religiously looking at Agile, but looking at those principles that are there. To me, good delivery is early and continuous delivery. So if you deliver in big batches, every 12 months, that's not good delivery. Always customer focused. So always need to look at how to improve your delivery. Pretty much around those lines. Also having making sure what you deliver is actually getting feedback from the customer. So it's not just you deliver once, but you actually get feedback on what you deliver and you are able to measure. So that's why I say Agile delivery is good delivery. But also when the other aspects, so one of the things is what's value for the customer. You got to keep that in mind. The other thing is how you work as a team. So having those metrics, understanding where your bottlenecks are, where you have the biggest issues, and continuously, relentlessly improve that's very important as well.
Yeah, that's good.
If that makes sense, what I'm trying to say, both customer and both kind of internal operations on how you can improve and get better.
Absolutely. And let's be honest, it's not an easy challenge. It's definitely it's a challenge in the sort of extreme, I guess, in the sense, but it's a really good challenge. And for me, it's about pushing that envelope further and further to get better and better at it, which leads me to my next question, which is I'm a Agile junkie. So I had my conversion moment, 10 years ago. I used to be a waterfall kind of person. Let's get a set of requirements written up. Let's go through all the sort of discovery process. Let's sort of go through stage gates. Let's start the build. 6 months later, 12 months later, let's deliver something. And as you would know, and as many people probably listening to this podcast would know, what that thing that gets delivered is probably nowhere near where we need to be in terms of what should be delivered. So I've seen the light when it comes to Agile. What do you think the future of Agile looks like for you?
To me, future of Agile is kind of has to be the ways of working. Just I think a lot of companies initially had this, we have an Agile transformation. And to me, one of the things is shouldn't be a transformation. It's evolution. It's not from A to B. It's constantly evolving. And Agile ways of working, I think, will be the default. So when we talk about digital, quite often when you talk about a business, it's digital. It's in default. It's digital. To me as well, when you're delivering products in default, it will be Agile, and you will have Agile practices, and you will have, you will have your work visualized. You will have daily stand-ups, or you will regularly reflect on how you're doing. Not necessarily like using a framework. I think every company, every organization will need to find their ways of working. So to me, that will be just the default. Agile will be default. Lean will be default. You wouldn't have to call that, we are going to do Scrum. The team will have some kind of framework which take elements from Scrum, will take elements from XP, will take elements of Kanban, and that will be their default ways of working that they constantly evolve and constantly review and improve.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I do struggle with, which you touched on there, is this mindset of that, and it's not necessarily emphasized through Scrum. Scrum's kind of adaptive, but it's that mindset of some people want to take these frameworks and just be, I guess, rule followers. They just want to follow it down to the sort of the the final letters. Whereas I take a very pragmatic view in the sense of you need to evolve how you work, your ways of working, not only at an organizational level, but also at a team level, because there's a certain team culture and certain team dynamic that keeps you guys working in a really productive way and a happy way. And therefore your culture needs to be kind of at a team level. And I've seen this, having stepped into sort of leading other squads where, I've seen a different culture in that squad. And that's not a criticism. It's a good culture in that other squad, but it's very different to the culture that I'm used to from my existing squad. And that's the beauty of it. I think if we give people the freedom to kind of adapt their culture to the way that they want to work together, so long as it's within reasonable frameworks of, this is what we should be doing and delivering value for customers, I think it's great.
I completely agree with you. I was very new to Agile when I was lucky enough to present at the conference. The only reason I got in because I think I had a clickbait title, and one of my friends said, "If you want to be famous, just talk about some Agile monkeys." And I had a presentation on 5 Agile monkeys, but I focused on anti-patterns, like anti-pattern behaviors, and one of them I called my monkey as the dog monkey, and not because it was dog, but more about dogma and monkey. I thought it's very funny. Obviously it's not, but I think a lot of organizations fell into that trap that, okay, we need to follow a framework exactly as it is. So it's kind of, these are the 3 questions that you have to ask. This is the format that you have to have, these are the columns that you have to have. This is the retro. These are the exact questions that you have to do, and just keep repeating it, which can be useful first. If, let's say, if you are new to Agile and you have no idea where to start, and it can be really useful help as a framework to use. But I think the danger is with any great idea that you're becoming dogmatic about it. Yeah. So that's why with Agile, I focus on the values and the principles, because Scrum is a good framework. I have nothing against it. Safe is not my favorite, but there are good practices, possibly good practices there. But if you just follow religiously, almost like a dogma, that these are the things, if you do these 5 things, you're going to be Agile. Well, you never be Agile. You will just follow 5 rules that might or might not make sense in your context.
And what you end up is with you get people that are effectively are robots because they're not really encouraged and in fact forced to think for themselves and sort of do things in a way that sort of works best for them as well. So that's the last thing you want to do, is have a work environment where people sort of acting like robots and just, doing what they're being told to do, because you don't get creativity. You don't get the sort of the extremes of great customer value in those types of environments. We were talking offline about remote working, working from home, and we all know that COVID-19 has been, for some of us, a blessing in disguise. So let's not I guess, estimate the impact that COVID-19 has had globally, both economically, but also, on people's lives and the disruption it's caused. It's definitely something we can't understate. But at the same time, it's also brought in a wave of, I guess, reformation around how we work, how we interact with each other, using Zoom calls, for example, like what we're doing today, how we think about how we work, both in Agile, but also just generally speaking, how we interact with each other in a work context. Do you think that remote working from home is here to stay?
Absolutely. I think when the whole thing started, I thought, okay, face-to-face communication is the best way to convey information, right, from the Agile Manifesto. So how will we do this whole thing, like, without my post-its and everything? But I think we found that way, and we are like, if anything was proven in the past 2 years, that we can deliver while we are working remotely. So I think most people actually want to do, like, I think there were some researches about who wants to come back to the office full time, who wants to work from home full time, and who are the people who want to have some kind of hybrid model. And very few people who actually want to go back to the office full time. And I think organizations will need to adopt to it. So if you have an organization that says that now you have to come into the office because we pay the rents, and then we want to be very efficient and we want to have teams here, they will suffer to keep their talent, because I think nowadays talent, we want to work from home, or we want to have some kind of flexibility around it. So maybe I want to go into the office twice a week, 3 times a week. And if a company doesn't allow it, if they don't cater for that, I just find something better. So I think it's definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. I think, and we're talking again off air about this, but as you know, my work style is very democratic in the sense that I encourage people to sort of define what works best for them. So I'm not necessarily somebody who's prescriptive and saying, you need to be here by this time of the day, you need to work in this certain way. So long as people are getting to squad ceremonies and being visible in terms of engagement with the squad, doesn't matter what they do. And fundamentally, I believe in the idea that if someone wants to work, sort of weird hours just to get their job done, they're perfectly entitled to that. And I actually think that's a great idea, to be honest. Now, obviously, some corporations have a very prescriptive view about what working from home looks like. To your point, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, 5 days in the office, whatever it is. You've got the extremes of Atlassian versus some US banks, for example. So Atlassian's obviously encouraging people to work from home remotely forever, but just obviously come in when they want to do their big planning events, I think every quarter. And then you've got some US banks, for example, that are pretty prescriptive about saying you need to be in the office now 5 days a week, working your 40 hours, if not more. I guess the theme there for me is flexibility for people is really important. And you touched on a good point, which is particularly in the digital space, we want to retain people because this market is so hard to get really good people and keep them on board. And if we take a very prescriptive view about how we treat our people, we're going to lose them because effectively people want flexibility. And if we're telling them you can't have the flexibility and you need to sort of follow what we tell you to do, I wouldn't stick around for that. If I could go work somewhere else that's going to respect my desires as to how I want to work. So I think we're going to see some interesting things happening over the next 6, 12, 18, 2 years, because I think there are some organizations that have gone down this road of we're going to prescribe how you're going to work. And they're going to realize at the end of it, they're going to get a bloody nose from it because they've lost so many good people who've gone to organizations that respect their people and respect their desire to want to sort of work in a way that suits their lifestyle.
I agree with you. And especially in digital, where I think the market is very hot. So if you're working in digital and your company tells you that now you have to come in 5 days, 4 days a week, and we tell you exactly which days they are, you will, if you're in digital, you will find a job easily. So absolutely agree with you. By the way, I can certify that you really not just preaching about this, but because working with you, I saw how you treat the team and how you pretty much provide them the freedom. So if you want to work with Ryan, I can absolutely recommend because you have that freedom and trust.
Yeah, and I think for me, and thanks for giving me that feedback. Well, I think for me as well, and you see how I sort of try and, I guess, encourage people's career development as well, is that for me, it's about giving people the space to do their best work. And sometimes it's about throwing sort of challenges their way as well. And I think for people to do their best work, they need to have the autonomy to some extent. Obviously, like I said, you still need to be actively involved with the team and communicating and engaging, but the freedom and the autonomy to sort of decide what works best for you in a work context. So that's the here and now. I guess what sort of trends do you think are going to happen in the future with remote working?
For remote working, I think hopefully the tool sets will improve as well. So I think I remember how much we struggled initially with the technology, and I think some of it, especially with bigger organization, is still there. Like what tools you are allowed to use, and what are the security requirements. But I think just like Agile is kind of the default way, it becomes, I think, catering for remote first. That becomes quite default. So it wouldn't be that, people, like all the processes, like getting your laptop, that will be, it was very difficult to do that before. Like you had to go into the office, had to make sure you set up, you had to be with your laptop, you had to connect first to the network there. I think these things will be almost like default, that your laptop is posted to you, it's already configured, you just need to log in and already had all the software for you. And I think even if your part of the teams are in the office, it wouldn't be, it will change from all of us are in the office and we work together to some of us are probably overseas or working from home, and cater for that first.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I'm personally excited about, and I think this is a huge opportunity for anyone that's entrepreneurially minded, has a technology bent as well, is the idea of virtual reality, augmented reality workplaces as well. So the idea being that I think one of the concerns, which I understand, and I hear this from executives of many organizations, is you got the goggles. We should have done this. We should have done a VR session today. One of the I think the concerns that underpins this nervousness of going to fully remote is perhaps that sense of control and perhaps sense of visibility that they have in a workplace environment, so in an office environment where you can kind of see people. And I know it's a legacy that I started out with in my career. So when I first started my career, you're very much about being present, being visible. If you weren't at your desk, no one ever officially said this, but it was almost a perception that you weren't actually working unless you were actually at a desk sitting in an office. And I think the good news story about COVID-19 is we've moved past that, or we are chipping away at that mindset. I still think there's a bit of a legacy around that. And I think that the way that could actually be dealt with is through VR, augmented reality type experiences where people could still be virtually present in a meeting room, for example, or virtually present at squad ceremonies, but they could still be working from home. And I think that's a huge opportunity for people that actually want to work in this space and have a startup mindset around it.
I love emerging technologies, VR, AR, absolutely. But what you said just struck a chord with me, that that sense of control. And that's why I see, like, I'm a big Agile advocate, but what I see, waterfall is creeping back because people want to have that sense of control. They want to see a project plan. They want to have that certainty that I want to see a Gantt chart, so I know exactly when is going to happen. What is going to happen when, and seeing a chart where that there are dates and everything. That people think they have that certainty and they think that they have a control, but it is a false sense of control and it's a false sense of certainty. Like, it never worked, it will never work, but people still think it works. And they say, "Oh, this Agile is just, it's just hype, and we need Gantt charts." They don't realize that Gantt charts never worked. I mean, for knowledge work, it works for other works, predictable work. It perfectly fine where you can estimate, but for knowledge work and creating digital solutions, it will not work. Never worked. Will not. Yeah, simply not working.
Yeah.
And I think what you said with the future of this, like with emerging technologies like VR, AR. So I'm not sure if I will have that Oculus on my head for a stand up yet, but it's not like I don't see it happening in the next 2-3 years, but I'm already excited about it. So maybe when I retire and I still want to work, maybe that's how I will go to a meeting.
I look forward to working with you in a VR environment then.
Yeah, I will have a different avatar. I will look young again.
That's right. With Benjamin Button. One of the things we touched on before, which is very dear to my heart, and it's always been dear to my heart, as I reflected over my career, is leaving a legacy. And part of that legacy from a digital perspective is leaving some great customer experiences behind. So basically leaving, some great apps that we've built, leaving some great problems that we've solved that have really made a difference to customers. But one of the other bits for me in terms of legacy is also leaving a people legacy. And I'm very conscious of where I work. We need to be developing future leaders. We need to be empowering them, setting them up for success, making sure that, when you and I eventually leave the workforce at some stage in the next 50 years, and we go work in that VR world instead, that we've left something good behind that will keep where we work going into the future, and that the skills and capabilities that are needed to really lead these organizations and keep them sustainable, but not only sustainable, but exponentially grow in the future, the skills are there. So that's my legacy. And that's, as you know, that's something I'm sort of big on in terms of developing people and encouraging them and not pushing in a bad way, but sort of encouraging people and pushing them to sort of step up and take on new responsibilities and take on new roles. And you've seen that recently with obviously some of the appointments that happen where we work. With you and your legacy, what do you want to leave behind as a legacy?
Oof, what do I want to leave behind as a legacy? I think I'm very much like you. To me, when I was younger, like quite young age, I wanted to become a teacher. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to pay for the flight to Australia, but but I still think I have that mindset to, maybe that's why I'm a coach. To me, sharing what I know with others so they can become a better version of themselves, they can improve. That's important. Developing future leaders as well. Like what you, I don't want to call names because I'm not sure, but what you did, for example, at most recently with, we had someone in the team who was a very high performer, but obviously, and that person showed interest in kind of being promoted, and you actually supported him. You went into the leader of that group, and you talked to the person that, hey, I know this guy who is really good. Let's give him the chance to step up, and that's how he got that role. So it's supporting others to become better and to help them rather than pushing them down. I think that resonates me well, and just that legacy to me is as well to help others. To, like, I was always a helper, so they can become a better version of themselves. Whether it's teaching about Agile, teaching about crypto, teaching about languages, whatever it is. I always saw myself as a bit of a teacher who helps others. Not just I have a material, I have to pass it on to you because that's in the book, but more like what is valuable for them so they can grow as a person.
Mm. And I think, for me, I think one of the observations I've got is I was very lucky in my career early on to actually have some great people that mentored me. And I think the mindset, at least back when I started working out in my career, was, it's about getting the job done, but it's also about developing people. And I've felt probably the last 10 years that we've become so focused on delivery, and just the world's become a busier place, particularly in digital as well. And there's so much demand for the work that we do that I think we've lost a little bit of that empathy that we show our customers when it comes to actually the people around us as well, and bringing them along for the journey. So I think we're great at delivery and actually getting great value delivered for customers. But at times I think we don't slow down enough and kind of look at the people around us and go, what do they need out of us as leaders to help them get to where they want to be in the future as well? So it's been a very big focus for me.
I just listened to a short podcast by one of my friends, Craig Brown, who is the co-founder of Everest Engineering, and he had a few points. And the first 2 points was that you got to love your customer and you got to love your employees, and he, as an entrepreneur. And to me, it's very important that, yeah, customers, absolutely, you got to deliver value to them, but at the same time, you got to love your employees. They are not just, I hate the word resources. Like when I try to call it out when someone or the people of the company, within the company, resources, because we are not replaceable parts. Everyone delivers something valuable to the team, to the organization. And the other thing that resonated with me, I don't want to forget it. When you think about your past and you think about your past work, like professional life, and you think about what was my greatest project or what was the greatest team I worked with, you don't think of the microservices you delivered or the code that you wrote. You think about people, and whether they were like great managers who supported you and to help you to grow, or colleagues that you got along well with. Like I was very lucky, just like you. I had managers who supported me to get better, to be a better version of myself. So like I remember a guy named John Boomsma who was my manager at Simplot, and when I came in, he asked me what is my plan to do, and then I told him, day one, this is what I would do. Day two, this is what I would do, and this is how I would continue. And then he trusted me to get the job done and supported me I could get whatever I wanted, so to speak. But because I had that trust and I had his support, I actually overachieved. Not because I was so good. I had my struggles as well, but because of his support, I became a lot better version of myself as well. So yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Moving on to fun topics now. I know we talk a lot about this, and we've talked a lot about this over the last 6 months, particularly given obviously the acceleration that we've seen, or I've seen at least in the crypto market, and you're very across it, is you are a crypto guru in your spare time, and you know a lot more. If you know a lot more about crypto than I do, you're a guru. And we've spoken at length about obviously various coins, altcoins, DeFi, and a lot of it still goes over my head, to be honest. And I'm still learning, and I have a long way to go in terms of my learning, but I'm getting there. You've recently launched a crypto channel here on YouTube. Do you want to tell us more about that and what's your mission with that channel?
Sure. I want to help people as well, especially people who are new to the world, because I'm aware of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So I don't think I'm an expert. I might be a couple of steps ahead of beginners, but I don't consider myself an expert. I don't consider myself an agile expert because I need to continuously learn as well. And especially the world of crypto is changing very rapidly. So I've never seen anything like that. Like every day, new projects popping up. There is a new paradigm shift. It's changing continuously. So my mission with that channel is actually to help people who are relatively new to crypto to help them to understand, like, what is this world about? What is blockchain? What is DeFi? How are projects created? What is the difference between the different smart contract platforms? Things like that. So it's pretty much educational and entertainment, definitely not financial advice. I know every crypto YouTuber says, I'm not a financial advisor. I have opinion on some coins, but I might be completely wrong. So it's more educational.
Yeah. I've seen a few of your videos and they're pretty good. They're pretty good, Gabor. So keep going at it. I think you're going to have a captivated audience soon. Like I was saying before, we were talking and we've talked at length about crypto over at least the last 11 months. It's early this year when I started taking an interest over the Christmas holidays. And one of the things that I was talking to you off air about was my regret about not heeding my own advice and buying a certain coin called Solana. And obviously we can't provide financial advice on this channel. But Solana was such a missed opportunity. I could have bought it last year at such a cheap price, and I'd be sitting in the Bahamas now, just living out of my $1 million mansion, speaking to you from warm, sunny beaches as we talk at the moment. But clearly that didn't happen. So I think one of the problems with crypto, which I'm sure a lot of people probably listening to this podcast today, and I'm sure a lot of people out there would relate to, is that sense of missed opportunity. I should have bought it when they look back 12 months later when the thing has hit $100,000, or the story I saw recently about that person that bought $8,000 worth of Shiba Inu, and it's now worth, I think, something like $5.7 billion.
$5.7 billion.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. You wouldn't know where to spend that money. What about you? Tell us about.
Imagine taking it out from the bank. Someone goes into the ATM and puts, I want to take out $5.7 billion. Like, I don't even know how much money that would be, like in fiat currency.
Meltdown. Yeah. So clearly I've made some mistakes and I'm just a beginner in this space. What mistakes have you made in crypto?
You make mistakes all the time. Like, if you don't make mistakes there, then you're not doing enough job. Like, you have to make mistakes. And I've been participating in projects that were rug pulled. Not much money I didn't put in. Like, I'm not crazy. I don't put in money that I cannot afford to lose. So I know people who take out a loan and put into projects. I don't dare to do that. I had buying coins at all-time high. And then, of course, getting an 80% drop. I've been into trying a lot of new projects. Like, I tried algorithmic stable coins. Like, I'm not sure, I don't want to be too technical, but there are stable coins like Tether or USDC, which is one-to-one pegged to a US dollar. But there are other coins they actually have an algorithm to keep it like stable. And some of them were experiments and they didn't work out as well. So I have some that I bought for $80 and they are sitting at 3 cents now. Well, sorry, stuff like that. So not much, I put in like $50 and I lost it pretty much. But it was good just to understand how these projects work or what's behind them. So to me, in the crypto world, we have this saying, do your own research. And I would say most of my friends who are in crypto and they invest, they don't do their research. What they do is they listen to a YouTube show or they ask a friend, which one should I buy? And they might get lucky and let's say they buy Shiba Inu. They have no idea, but they know it's a dog. And it's something that Elon Musk tweeted about. So they buy it. And the worst thing that can happen, they actually win. And when you win, you think you're an expert, right? Mm-hmm. So people say that, hey, don't buy Shiba Inu because it's just a meme coin and, there is no long term. No, I bought it because I win. I had put in $1,000 and I have 10,000. I'm the expert. Like, no, you're not. You got lucky once. That doesn't make you an expert. And I'm not judging now Shiba Inu, which I don't have, and I don't think I will have. But I usually try to look into understanding what that coin does. Like when you told me about Solana, I was like, yeah, I don't buy. I should have bought when you told me about it first. I didn't buy. I didn't know what it is. And now I'm actually using Solana. So I'm using, Solana is like a smart contract platform, kind of competitor of Ethereum or Cardano or layer 2 solutions. And it's a really good platform to use. So I'm like, okay, now I understand why I should have bought it back then. And it makes sense to buy it because, it's a good platform. It's a good alternative. It doesn't have the gas fees that Ethereum has. It has a growing ecosystem. But back then I didn't know. It was just a name, Solana. Sounds good. It's like a girl's name,
Sun tanning lounge is what it sounds like to me.
Could be. But yeah, I initially I bought a lot of these as I heard that, this is good. And I just, bought some and got lucky, won some and lost some, but I didn't understand what I'm doing. I just look things like beginners do, like, Bitcoin is too expensive. Let's buy something that is under $1. And I didn't understand that, there is a supply of tokens and there is a market capitalization. And let's say Shiba Inu will never go to $1. I mean, 10 years from now, someone might show this video that, hey, this guy is an idiot. He doesn't know Shiba Inu is now $1 or $10. But when you think about like if Shiba Inu would have the market capitalization of Bitcoin, like it would be around like what Bitcoin is now, it wouldn't even be close to $1. But who knows? Maybe in the future.
One of the things I really respect about you, and this is where I think people need to get onto your YouTube channel, is that you actually put the thought work into researching your crypto. And I know you said that you're still a novice and you're still learning, and I'm sure you are well up the ladder compared to me and a lot of other folks as well. But you take the time to actually understand the technology and you actually pull these things apart to actually understand and can actually explain it really easily, because that's a sign that you actually understand it in detail. So I really respect the fact that you do take the time. You've got such a passion for it, because for someone like me who can get lost in the details at times, sometimes when I look at these cryptos and DeFi and so on, as much as it's exciting, I kind of start to get lost a bit in it. So credit to you for taking the time out. And like I said, I think if anyone's really serious about crypto and wanting to learn about just the fundamentals, and I'm sure your channel is going to evolve over time as well as you get into more sort of technical concepts, definitely get onto Gabor's Crypto.
Gabors Crypto, look it up on YouTube. That was the advertisement. Yeah, or hit me up on LinkedIn, and happy to chat. Like one of the crypto things, so like if you have crypto, that's your hobby, you have nothing else in your brain. This is what like fills you up all the time. It's like I have friends who haven't talked to them for 17 years, and they message me about crypto all the time because that's what we are almost going overboard with it, I think. So hopefully I won't burn out.
We'll provide links out to your to Gabor's LinkedIn as well as Gabor's Crypto at the end of this podcast today as well. But really encourage anyone that's got an interest in crypto to go check it out and subscribe. And also subscribe to this channel, Ryan Talks Digital, if you want to find out more about some great concepts in digital business or technology. Definitely check out the channel here, subscribe to it, like this video, and make sure that you set the notify on so that you can be notified when new videos are coming out. Gabor, what gets you excited these days about crypto? What specific projects really pique your interest?
First of all, generally, it's decentralized nature that excites me the most. So we are going away from the centralized by government or big organizations. So that's one bit that excites me about pretty much any crypto projects. I'm looking at a couple of things. I'm looking at, I like the Polygon ecosystem. So I pretty much, if there is something launching on Polygon, I look at it. So just to get an understanding whether it's DeFi or gaming, I'm pretty much have a look at it. I really like the concepts of metaverses, which is of course very popular now. It's kind of the word of the month, metaverse, Metaverce. And Facebook came up with the new name Meta, but I'm looking forward to the ones where actually you have these what kind of singularity, kind of the merging of emerging technologies. So when we have augmented reality mixed with or mixed reality with stuff on the blockchain, maybe with IoT devices, some artificial intelligence. So I'm looking forward to when I have my glasses on. Maybe this is not a normal glass, but maybe an AR glass, and I can see your digital pet, digital dragon on your shoulder, which is an NFT, and it's clearly your ownership. That I go down gaming and I have my custom skins, which are also on the blockchain. This is very futuristic, but I'm pretty excited to see project ideas that are coming in, and there are so many of them, so many, like crazy. We are in a bubble right now. I think there will be a burst eventually. There will be a little bit of a bear market, just like with the internet. We are very early, and I think a lot of new projects popping up. There is a lot. Like if you want to get money right now, it's very easy. You just start a meme project, a meme coin, or a gaming, and you have a prototype. People throw money at you. It's crazy. Right now, it's not viable. It's not sustainable. I think a lot of the projects probably will disappear in a few years. But a lot of the new Googles and the new Facebooks and the new Microsofts are either not here yet, or they're already here, but they are small. So it's a very exciting time to be in this world.
And if you've got a new project coming up, make sure to hit Gabor up to do a review on it on his channel as well, because I'm sure you'd be very interested in doing some reviews of new projects coming up, wouldn't you be, Gabor?
Yeah, I know venture capitalists now. It's so interesting. I was never close to that, and I know people now who can fund projects, good projects, obviously. So don't hit me up with bad ideas or things that's just a copy paste. But it's market is very hot, maybe too hot.
Yeah. So if you want your crypto reviewed on Gabor's channel, get in touch with him. Gabor, how come we're not seeing a Gabor coin? How come we haven't launched your own?
Oh, I launched it on the on the testnet, but I don't know what would be the added value. I'm not creative enough, I think. I had some ideas, but they were all a bit risky, and I was like, no, this is just not the right thing to do. So so much scam and so much like it's the Wild West. I think that's what I said in one of my recent videos, that if you're going down in the crypto world in that rabbit hole, if you're not just buying some coins in a centralized exchange, but you go into the decentralized world, there is so much scam, so much impersonation. It's crazy. You gotta hopefully you will not, you cannot buy the Squid token, Squid Games token, or if you see that, Elon Musk is sending you back if I send 0.1 Bitcoin, Elon Musk will send me back 1 Bitcoin, and it's a YouTube video there. No, it's just scam. It's like full of scams. Crazy.
Yeah. So I guess the key message there is be careful. We're joking about some cryptos here, but you've got to be very careful if you're looking to put some money into crypto, and make sure you go through probably more centralized exchanges. Is that correct to say, Gabor?
I would say once you know how to work, like look up a few videos on how to create your MetaMask wallet, how to make sure that you never give out your private keys or the passphrase that you have, the 12 word or 24 word, whatever you're using. Don't give that out. And if they call up, hey, I'm from MetaMask, and please give me your 12 word pass. Don't never do anything like that. So yeah, look up for a few videos, because it's a dangerous world, but it also has its beauties.
Yeah, maybe that's your next video, is how to be safe trading crypto.
Yeah. So I would not give out my private key to you right now.
That's right. Please, come on, Gabor. I thought we were friends. Do you think, and this is something I reflect on quite a lot, I'm excited by crypto because I think there's a lot of utility, and I think there's a lot of application towards crypto. But I also think, to your earlier point, I think there are a lot of scams, and I think there are some people who are just trying their luck without a very clear business case of what they're trying to solve with the cryptos that they've launched. So my question to you is, it's twofold, do you think that crypto is just a passing fashion? And then secondly, and this is something I do reflect on quite a lot, is will governments ever really accept crypto? Because let's be honest, this world we live in today, economies globally and also regionally and locally rely on centralized currencies that are run effectively by central banks, such as the Reserve Bank of Australia, the Fed in the US, the Bank of England, for example, in the UK as well. And they use those centralized banks as a lever for controlling the economy. So obviously, credit flows in based on central bank lending policies, and credit flows out when the banks decide to bump up their rates as well. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that crypto is a passing fad, and do you think governments are ever going to accept crypto?
Yeah, very good question. I think when people think about Bitcoin or crypto, they still think it's just something to use on the dark web. It's a scam. It's not going to be here for long, but it's a totally new concept. It's definitely here to stay. But yeah, you have a lot of, it's at the moment unregulated, and there will be a lot of, I think, desire even from people who are scammed, or there will be a lot of kind of desire to regulate somewhat. And so yeah, and too much regulation can kill it for sure. Like I don't like maybe the agile bits. That's how I got to this path. I really like that kind of, you don't have that false sense of control or that strong control, which for example like government have over fiat currencies. So we saw that in 2008. And we kind of see it now as well. So I think there will be definitely a pushback from governments, and they will be, because they would lose control. Bitcoin or any of the other cryptos, they are decentralized. You don't need government for that. Everything is governed by code. You don't need people to say that now we need to print more. Bitcoin has 21 million Bitcoin. There will be never more. So you cannot just say that, okay, now I want to print some more, like with dollar, you can. So yeah, there will be definitely a pushback. There will be definitely a drive to have more regulation, and yes, you can make it very difficult to trade with cryptocurrencies, and it shows in the price fluctuation. As soon as some negative news come out, people start selling their crypto while they can. But at the same time, you cannot compete with technology. Like if people were afraid of cars when then when cars came in, people were afraid that, okay, these cars will, kill people. And if you go too fast, you will die. And I think, for example, Bitcoin is a more superior asset than fiat currency. So I think cryptocurrencies are more superior to fiat currencies. Is there a lot of scam? Yeah, there is. Is there lack of regulation? Yeah, and maybe we need some kind of regulation. In Australia, we have to pay tax on crypto. Very, very, in my opinion, too high, but I might be wrong because I have to pay. But yeah, so will there be pushback? Yeah, will be pushback. Can they kill crypto? I don't think they can. Like crypto is on the internet. Like you have to. You have to make it impossible. Like if you say that, okay, you cannot accept cryptocurrencies as a merchant, that's one way to kill it. Like you have to say that you can never take it back to fiat currency. So you cannot, like, let's ban all the centralized exchanges, and you can do that, and then it will be impossible to withdraw your money. But then, if that would be the case, and if I have most of my wealth in crypto, let's say, which is unfortunately not the case, but let's say that's what I would have if I would have that amount of money that you would have with your Solana, and Australia would decide that, look, there are no more centralized exchanges. We stop withdrawing. You cannot withdraw your money anymore, and it's banned. You cannot use it anywhere. I would just move to another country where it's allowed. Like it's a lot easier to move nowadays, and some countries are more ahead than others. But yeah, to me, it's a more superior financial asset. I understand why they call Bitcoin the digital gold. It has pretty much the same. Like if you look at what money is and what fiat currency is, and I think if you look at the definition of money, Bitcoin is closer to it than fiat currencies. I think you cannot. Sorry, except for adoption. For adoption.
I think the challenge that governments will have around this space is this isn't in its infancy. So the horse has bolted, the train's left the station on this one. And so governments are challenged, I think, to have to sort of get their head around how they're going to regulate it. I think they'll need to regulate at some point to give legitimacy to it, at least at a government level. I don't know how it's going to integrate with the financial system, though, which leads me to the next question I've got, because this is a really topical one, particularly for us in Australia, is that we saw just recently that CBA, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, has just announced that they're going to allow their customers to transact on their banking app, and I'm assuming it's internet banking as well, in crypto, which is mind blowing for an Australian bank to kind of dip their toe into the water. And it's interesting because, Gabor, you hit me up back when my interest in crypto started, so I can attribute my interest in crypto to you. I think it was late last year, maybe at the Christmas holidays, when you pinged me on LinkedIn and sort of threw the grenade out there saying, you know, when would banks start getting into crypto? And lo and behold, 11 months later, CBA's taken you up on the challenge. So you could take credit for this one, Gabor. You're the architect for CBA's adoption of crypto, but it's an interesting one. When do you think it's going to become mainstream for banks to actually start giving their customers the ability to transact and trade potentially in crypto?
Well, it shows I didn't expect that to be fast, and I don't consider it was my. I think a lot of people have that same idea. I mean, we talked about remember sessions like what could a bank do with crypto, and it's not just trading. It's not just about be like a centralized exchange. Probably with what is it called, like a white label service. So you pretty much just show your bank's interface, but in reality, it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
But there is so much more that you could do, and I think since CBA done it, I think I can see that in the next few years, definitely banks will do that basic service what you can have now in buying and selling certain cryptos. Decentralized, of course, they will not do, or maybe they will. Maybe they will be like Binance. Like Binance was very good. It was pretty much a centralized exchange, and they kind of went CDFI, like decentralized finance. So they have their own smart chain. I don't think CBA would have that in their roadmap. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's ANZ's roadmap. I don't know. But I can definitely see that the basic functions, I think they will come in. I think the more advanced ones, probably not so much yet. But yeah, I think the basic trading will be here soon, 1-2 years.
Yeah,
with most of the banks.
I tend to think that banks generally are conservative organizations. They're not going to sort of leap at these things, but I think generally in the USA we've seen it. I think in Australia as well. I think it just takes one bank to do it, and I think it wouldn't be too far of a stretch to say that it shouldn't be too long before Westpac does it, for example, before ANZ may do it. Obviously, we don't know ourselves.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. We wouldn't even disclose it if we could. But we have no idea whether that's going to be a commercial reality for any of the banks. But speculating here, I think it's kind of like, it's like the old scenario where you're on a dance floor, you're all teenagers, and it just takes that first person to get up on the dance floor and start dancing for the rest of the group to start following them and join in the dance as well. And I think it's a brave move by CBA. There'll be people that criticize them for doing it. There'll be people in mainstream, economics who go, why are you sort of participating in a non-centralized financial system? But I think to CBA's credit, what they've done is a very smart ploy, which is, or it's a smart angle, because effectively what they've recognized is that for all the banks in Australia and globally, they need to start appealing to younger markets to obviously retain customers in a very challenged digital banking world. And one of the ways that they need to do that is to actually appeal to the types of products that those segments will gravitate towards, and one of which is crypto. Let's be honest, it's not necessarily an older person's financial instrument. I wouldn't say that if you bumped into a grandma or a grandpa on the street and asked them whether they're trading crypto, you probably get a blank stare. Maybe if you ask them about shares, they'd probably say, yeah, I've got shares in my superannuation. But if you asked a young person at a pub or at a rave or a outdoor party, what are they investing in? I'm pretty much sure 9 times out of 10, you'll find they say they've got some investments in crypto, or they're dabbling in crypto. So I think what CBA's done is a pragmatic move to appeal to the reality of their business model, which is effectively they need to appeal to younger segments of the market. And by doing this, they're actually grabbing market share on it very early, which if the other banks do follow, it's going to be challenging to see how they sort of position this in front of their segments as well.
I absolutely agree with you, Ryan. So I think you're spot on.
So talking about crypto, because this is a big theme for our catch up today, and obviously it's something we talk about a lot offline as well or off air. What are the opportunities for product management people and people working in digital product delivery, for example, in crypto? Where do you think the opportunities are? And for example, someone like me that may want to be a product manager in crypto in the future, are there opportunities for me to step into that space?
Absolutely. Like the thing is, the companies that are in the crypto world, they are usually product development. So they need the same kind of skills. What we are working right now, they need definitely developers. They need people who can, test the product. They need people who do some analysis. The analysis might be slightly different, but at the end, most of the applications are either on mobile or web. So they need product managers as well. So there is nothing. The skills might be somewhat different, but at the same time, you're looking at, okay, how can you deliver product? What is the value that you deliver? Similarly to pretty much any product development, they have some kind of product roadmap. They have some kind of product offering. So I think with your background, and I will not try to ask you to go to a crypto startup, but I think easily there are, like, if you look up bigger organizations, so not necessarily startups. Usually in startups, when they look for a product manager, they look for kind of a product manager and delivery lead and everyone in one person who can develop the product and run the team as well. And that's my experience when I see startups. But when you go to a little bit bigger organizations, they have the same roles. They have product owners, product managers, business analysts. Maybe I should look at right now, like what's happening at I talked about my favorite network is Polygon, which is also known as Matic. So I can look at right now in their jobs if they look for any product owners. I wouldn't recommend you to go there necessarily, but just to if I look at they look for let me look at very quickly if they have product. They have technical product managers. But they have also project managers. So there is, like, big companies have similar roles to us. They might have NFT leads or head of blockchain rather than head of product or head of technology. But they need product managers.
Might have to dust off my CV, I think.
No, we need you. We need you at the answer. So please.
True. Looking forward to 12 months from now, we're coming up to the end of the calendar year as we record this podcast. What are the priorities for you over the next 12 months? Where do you think you'll be at the end of next year? Professionally, personally, whatever it is.
Hopefully about this time of the year, I will be at our new property, which is I'm very, very excited about. I didn't buy it from crypto. I hope I collect enough crypto so I can pay it back in the next before I retire. But the plans for me is similar to last year. I wanted to go full-time crypto this year. Unfortunately, that didn't eventuate, but I'm actually pretty happy because it gave me some, like, if I just go to a company to work full-time there at a crypto company, I think I would have lost a lot on the learnings that I can do. So hopefully, what would be ideal? In 1 year, I would be working full time in a company that I'm one of the co-founder of. That would be ideal professionally. It might be that I will be knocking on the door. Hey, Ryan, do you have a contract Agile, Scrum Master, coach, whatever role? Because I need some job. But ideally, what I'm aiming is to become a co-founder at a crypto company, and to where I can make an impact. And what I find meaningful to me, that's when you're a consultant or a contractor, you have the money, you have that kind of motivation that you can earn more. But I think I'm really hungry for that kind of meaning and impact, that I can be somewhere and really change it, having the autonomy but also the authority to change things around. and also something that I'm personally interested about. So yeah, to me, being a co-founder or being like a executive at a crypto startup, that would be ideal. Private life, I think both of my kids will finish high school in a year from now. So I'm very excited about that. And as per the joke, apologies if I don't want to offend with this joke. So in the joke, there is a priest, I think a Catholic priest, like an Anglican priest, and the rabbi having a conversation. When does life start? And I think one of the priests says that it's by conception. The other one is by birth. And I think the rabbi says that when both of the kids grown up and the dog is dead, that's when life begins. So I don't want our cat to be dead, but our kids are grown up. So that's when hopefully we can start their life with my wife.
Yeah, I'll see you driving past in that red Ferrari bought with your Bitcoin proceeds.
Yeah, Ferrari is a liability. So even if I would be a billionaire, I don't think I would have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. In crypto world, we always ask, when Lambo? When do we get the right. Lamborghini? Yeah.
Stick with the Toyota Corolla. Gets you from A to B. It's the safest option.
Yeah, exactly. I stick with Toyota or maybe Tesla or maybe
Tesla. Yeah, Tesla. Tesla's a good option. Tesla is a good option. I like the Tesla. Gabor, where can people reach you?
You can reach me on Twitter at devtestrepeat, but just look for Gabor Devenyi, which you can see on the screen, or on LinkedIn as well. I'm active on both. Probably not on Facebook or Instagram, because usually I don't get back to people. But yeah, LinkedIn or Twitter is fine. And of course, if you can subscribe to my channel, or if you like the content, only then like and subscribe. That would be great. Or email is fine as well. It's gabor.devenyi@gmail.com. Pretty easy.
Awesome. Gabor Devenyi, thank you very much for joining us today. Great to talk with you, and we should do this again very soon.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It was a pleasure.
Catch you soon.
Take care.
Thanks for watching this episode of Ryan Talks Digital. I'm all about helping you get smarter by learning from the smartest and brightest people in business, technology, and professional development on the planet. So give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to watch videos just like this one. And if you know people that are just as interested in getting smarter, then make sure to share this episode with them, whether it's your neighbors, your friends, and your colleagues. Keep safe, and I'll see you in the next episode.